Dr. Brian Paris here. I've become what's known as Dr. Do It Yourself. So I want to give you some tips and things you can do on an easy perspective at home for those of you who work from home or even if you're getting home. So first, we need a basic lacrosse ball. This is solid rubber here. Whatever color you want, you can use. All right. I got this at Lowe's. So it was just a simple dowel. I think it's about 5 feet. What I'm simply going to do is just massage my own feet. I'm using this pole here as balance, and I can work into some of those difficult areas. Your foot has a lot of different bones in it, so it can open up and stretch. And when we keep it in the shoes, it gets locked up. When our feet get locked up, that creates a chain of lack of movement all the way up. So if you're having low back pain, I would start with the feet, and then you can work into the arch of the foot, outside of the foot, as well as the heel. I don't even have to press hard, it just feels so good. So I'm gonna switch and do both here. This is just a great way to get your body awake after you're sitting for a period of time. If you do have balance issues or sciatic issues and it's harder for you to stand, I would definitely suggest to do this from a seated position. So we're gonna work on foot and ankle mobility here. For those of you who can get on the floor and do this, it's a possibility. Or let's say you're sitting on the end of your bed. If you're sitting on the end of your bed, you can put a pillow here because I don't want you to have to really engage this part of the leg. On my right leg here, I'm gonna hold above the ankle so your ankle joint is here. And I'm just gonna do some nice circles. And you can feel it, it may crack and pop, and that's okay. We go in either direction. Now, I like to just stretch my toes out. You may feel a little pop, and that's okay. We can stretch the joints of the toes out as well. Next, I'm gonna imagine a pole going through my foot here, or a rod. If it were going through the center of the foot, this portion should actually rotate a little bit. Most of our feet are very, very stiff, especially for those of us having low back pain. I'm gonna bet that if you start working on your own feet, like with the lacrosse ball, and start working the tissues of the feet, you'll find that they're very stiff. So the more mobile your feet can be, the better the forces are dispersed up through the knees, the hips, the low back, and the rest of the spine all the way up to the head and neck. So taking my fat pad on my hand here, I can work the foot and stretch it in a different direction. The more I talk about this, it really just helps if you just watch what I'm doing here. So I'm using my bottom hand to stretch this way, my top hand to stretch here, and then I'm reversing that and getting a nice stretch. And it's more just about getting the feet moving. You don't want to stretch to a point of pain. Okay, so the next piece is actually grabbing the heel here and the foot itself, so that I can start stretching this direction and this direction. So I actually bring them the opposite. Now, it might cause a little bit of pain, it's a weird movement, but this is putting your foot through the normal mechanical process that it goes through when we walk. So just to start working your foot in this direction is gonna help those tissues get more mobile. Then I can take my whole foot and bring it in both directions and circle it here. I can stretch it downwards and upwards as well. For many of us, we're suffering with arthritic knees and knees that don't want to move as well. I'm just going to give you a very simple stretch or just a movement to start moving the knees on a consistent basis. Most of these stretches, they are do it yourself. So I'm focusing on what you can do at home while you're sitting at work or after work. So knees are not a joint that really rotate or twist. They're a very stable joint. Simply enough, sitting in a nice upright posture and just extending the knee as far as you can, bringing the foot up and pushing through the heel so that you engage the quad muscle, and then getting a little support of your own, putting your hand in the knee fossa, and you can actually just stretch it a little bit here. Very, very simple. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Now, if you do have knee arthritis, don't push past the pain, or if your knee is bothering you, or if you have meniscal tears, things like that, get advice from your doctor before doing these types of stretches. But these are just simple home stretches to get the knees mobile, fluid, and moving. Now we're gonna work on the hips. Now, most of our low back problems come because our hips are so darn tight. We spend most of our days sitting, right? So I am gonna give you some stretches and some things to do while we're sitting, but I'm also gonna work on getting on the floor and doing a couple other things for those who wanna do more advanced stretches. And again, we're working on a do-it-yourself program so that you can work on this stuff at home during the day, but definitely get up out of your chair. That is the most important thing. If you're sitting for more than 20, 30 minutes at a time, get up, move around, get mobile, get the hips open. So from a very simple perspective, I want you to just work on a couple different angles here. So you can see where I'm stretching the knee straight up to the shoulder. You can see this from the side also here. And I can move in different angles so that I can move my hip towards the outside. Good, and you'll feel it in different areas of the hip here. And then I can move it across and I'll feel much more of a stretch here. Now, if any of these stretches are causing pain, definitely stop, because if they are causing pain, there may be some other damage in the tissues going on here. So the next piece is actually to do some hip circles. So from this perspective, you're really holding your knee so that you're not using your muscles to keep the hip up and just circling around. Nice and easy. You can do this from any chair. It doesn't have to be a swivel chair. So the next one is actually to cross the leg and use the ankle as a pivot point. I'm gonna grab with both hands here and stretch that hip across. Now, make sure the upper body is kept in a good upright position. Stretching, getting a good open stretch in the bottom of the hip. That's where I'm feeling it here. And then the next one, I'm gonna hold the ankle here and then open that up from the inside, and we'll feel that entire area stretch here.